I have a personal belief that every worker should go home safe and healthy at the end of the day. The behavior of the employees is one of the critical aspects in safety. Very much of that has to do with the training, but it also, as we've seen, there's been a lot of compelling evidence that we've been looking at from research that the leader basically influences a lot of the culture within the workplace. That is, the workplace takes on the values of its leader, and so there has to be a consistent message, and the workers have to assume that message and take that on and look at it from an individual standpoint. That is, I have to look after my own safety as well. I have to use the tools that are being provided, but I also have to look out for my fellow workers as well. I have an obligation for everybody. And that's why we talk about a culture of safety within an organization, is that really there's a lot of dialogue that happens, and people have to assume these values and look after everybody else as well as themselves. There's a lot of areas that we can influence the culture of an organization. One of them is clearly awareness. We have to make people aware that this is an issue, first of all, because they will continue to go to work and do things the way they've always done it. Ultimately, that is the definition of culture, is, well, that's the way we've always done it here. And I think when we show them and give them opportunities to see that there's other organizations that are very successful as well and do it a different way and are able to consider safety as part and parcel of their whole business plan, it becomes much more effective. At the end of the day, it's really up to the leadership also to decide what kind of a workplace do you want. There is an aging demographic. We're living longer, we're working longer, and that demographic has very different needs. The differences in the ages are interesting because the older workers always see the younger generation as, well, they never want to do it the way it should be done, and the younger workers say the older generation never wants to listen and change. And so there is a bit of a conflict there. Certainly there's always a huge sense of frustration when there's some tragedy. Anytime there's even a single fatality, there's a sense of failure with organizations like us, because you always feel that you could have influenced it in some manner or another. I'm firmly convinced all accidents are preventable, and if we can get that message across. But I think the frustration is sometimes that there's a lot of goodwill, but there isn't the next step, that is that we'll go ahead and we'll implement these programs, that we'll actively go out there for companies to do something, to put together programs, to actively change the culture, to send that consistent message all the time. You'll see good examples, and then they'll sort of tailor off a little bit. And I think that's very much my frustration, and that is the belief that every accident is preventable.